Creating an unconstitutional gun law is an incredibly complex process that is easily forgotten. We are going to take a deep dive into how unconstitutional gun laws are made, so not only does the general public accept them and ask for them, they literally beg for them. Today, on How It's Made, Unconstitutional Gun Laws. It is said that unconstitutional gun laws have a rich history in racism. Most historians will tell you that the sole purpose of an unconstitutional gun law is to elevate one class above another. So let's take a look at exactly how they are formed and what is the birth of an unconstitutional gun law and what is its purpose. Early free America was formed on the premise of a constitutional republic, giving every person equal power, with the premise being a peasant's eye is worth no more than a king's eye, spreading the power across the people instead of consolidating it into a single person. And therein lies the problem for somebody that wants to consolidate power and have a lot of influence. Now he needs to seize the power from a safe distance that cannot threaten him. So what he's going to do is make two non-taxable, sizable donations to two different groups. You need to handle it on the public front and then the government front. One donation will go to the organization called the ATF. The other donation will go to the organization called the DSA. Now after the DSA receives the donation, the money needs to be split into 3 equal parts. One going to the person receiving the donation, the other part going to foot soldiers to create fear, and then the other part going to the media, which is a very critical part of this whole process. Now it is up to the foot soldier's job, and you cannot just have any foot soldier. They must be hand-selected as people that are willing to do whatever they think is necessary in order to push their ideals. They must create chaos or some sort of tragedy that the media can use for their part of the job. Now it's the media's turn. What they need to do is put an expert in there to spin the story in a way to where people will actually feel sympathy for the foot soldiers. It takes an expert with years and years of schooling to be able to point at somebody getting pissed on and say it's rain, and the general public to accept that. Now it's the ATF's turn. What they need to do is take their sizable donation and split it into multiple different parts to get multiple different jobs done. They're going to split that into things like vacation homes, yachts, hookers, cocaine, whatever they need to do to help them forget about the Second Amendment. Now the ATF can't actually make any laws, which is a double-edged sword for them. On one side, yes, they can't make any laws, so that really gives them no power. However, they enforce the pre-existing laws. On the other side of the double-edged sword, because they can't make any laws, they rarely ever have to answer to Congress for their interpretation of a law, retroactively making a new law overnight just by changing their interpretation and definition of the pre-existing law, which in reality allows them to make laws without being challenged by any checks and balances put into place to ensure that our Constitution does not get violated. Therefore, they can make unconstitutional laws without being checked. Now that they have come up with a new clever way to interpret a law differently, retroactively making a new law, they need to release it to the public. And then there will be a comment section to get a feel for if the public is going to take this pill and swallow it or reject it. After this period, now they need to turn back to the media to handle the rest. Now it is up to the media to sell it to the general public in a light that would make anybody who doesn't accept this seem like some sort of extremist or radical or white nationalist or something like that. They will typically insert lots of buzzwords like common sense, public safety, your children, send the message home. Now that the media has done their job, what the ATF needs to do is go in and bust somebody for this unconstitutional law. Now they need to guarantee a victory to solidify the whole process, so they will remove all their assets, their public support, any family members, giving them a snowball's chance in hell at winning the court case so they have a victory setting precedents. And then they can safely move on to the next agenda and figure out how to ensure that this political person doesn't have to worry about some peasant coming along and removing them from power. Now the influential person digging for power needs to handle this next part of the process very gingerly. What he's going to have to do is purchase senators, Supreme Court judges, etc. to ensure that this unconstitutional law doesn't get challenged, showing it for what it is. However, he does have an advantage here due to the fact that there is no term limit, so he only needs to purchase them once, keeping the cost at a minimum. The real advantage here is because public school systems have already been conquered by the government and they actually teach kids not to fight and just accept things for the way they are. He only needs to wait one generation for people to grow up underneath that unconstitutional gun law for them to accept it as the way things just are. It cannot be fought, and it should not be fought, and that is how unconstitutional gun laws are made.